Verse 398. As the waves appear instantly on the ocean, or images in a mirror or a dream, so the mind is reflected in its own sense fields. Past few verses we've been looking at this metaphor of the ocean and the waves. And the whole point of the metaphor is to get a handle on why, if there's one consciousness only, there appears to be this world of great diversity that we're living in. So the understanding here is that this diversity is an expression of this one consciousness. It's an expression of its infinite nature, its infinite capacity. It's like the consciousness of the dreamer. You go to sleep at night. Is there any limit to what your dreams can contain? So the one mind of the dreamer is reflected in the dream. And similarly, is there any limit to what can be reflected in a mirror? The one mirror. The one mirror can reflect anything. There's no limit to the reflecting abilities of a mirror. There's no limit to what can be reflected in it. And so the mind is reflected in its own sense fields. What does this mean? Well, let's get down to practicalities. The mind here is the attention. And this attention is caught up in what we refer to the sense fields, to the objects of the senses. So this is our usual situation when we're not practicing enlightenment. The attention is caught up in the sense fields. So this verse is simply describing our usual situation. And this situation is described further in the next few verses. The next few verses seem to run together, so I'll read them. I'll read them as one. So these are verses 399 to 401. Owing to our deficiency in conditions, the evolution of the Vijnanas takes place by degrees. The function of the Manovijnana is to recognize, and that of the Manas is to reflect upon. While to the 5 Vijnanas the actual world presents itself. There is no gradation when one is in a state of collectedness, like unto a master of painting or his pupils, who arrange colours to produce a picture. I teach. The picture is not in the colours, nor in the canvas, nor in the palette. So let's take this bit by bit. Owing to a deficiency in conditions, the evolution of the Vijnanas takes place by degrees. So deficiency in conditions. This simply means that limiting factors are in operation. And it's the limiting factor of the attention being on automatic. Like the kid in the candy shop, seeing this and seeing that and wanting this and wanting that. There's very little, if any, self-awareness going on. And there's talk here of the evolution of the Vijnanas taking place by degrees. But there's a continual consolidation going on. A consolidation of this process of the attention being hijacked continuously. And what underpins this is the belief that there's something out there which is essentially satisfying. So there's a continual consolidation of this. I think consolidation is a better word than evolution here, because consolidation, we believe in the solidity of the world of the senses as it's presented to us. This is ongoing. So we've got the Vijnanas. These are the sense consciousness, consciousness of seeing, consciousness of hearing, of smelling, of tasting, and of touching. These are the 5 consciousness of the senses. There's also the Manovijnana. This is consciousness of mental objects, of thoughts, of ideas, of concepts. And the Manas is the intellect which tries to make sense of it all, particularly for its own benefit. So in verse 400 we're told that, well, to the 5 Vijnanas, the actual world presents itself. So that's the actual physical world. The Manovijnana is the mental world. So in contrast to this, there is being in a state of collectedness. And there's no evolution here, no development, no consolidation. Because this is when we've woken up to this game, we've woken up to this situation, and we realise, hang on here, I'm just chasing my tail. In pursuing this and pursuing that, I'm simply chasing my tail. So let's leave it. Let's bring the attention. Let's rein the attention in. From out there, rein it in. In, and in. Until it comes back. Until it rests in itself. And this is what collectedness here is. You've become self-collected. You're becoming established once again in your own sense of being, which is being constantly depleted when the attention is being dragged here and there. And there's no gradation here. There's no spiritual path that you must follow in order to be able to do this. You do it. You simply do it. You bring the attention back. You stop it, first of all, from being diverted outwards, and you just bring it back, and it rests in itself. This is instantaneous. Any argument to the contrary is just making excuses. It's like saying, I'll give up smoking tomorrow when I'm better prepared. You just give it up. So in the previous video, we heard Mahamati give a slight rebuke to the Buddha. The Buddha was essentially undermining his own teachings by saying that certain teachings, if not the bulk of them, are catering to the intellect. And the intellect, this is the manas, the mind, is not the truth. But this is what the Buddha does, like unto a master of painting or his pupils who arrange colours to produce a picture. I teach. But then he goes on to say the picture is not in the colours, nor in the canvas, nor in the palette. It actually says plate here in my copy, but I think it means palette. This is the mixture of colours. The point is finally made in verse 402. In order to make it attractive to all beings, a picture is presented in colours. But what one teaches transgresses, for the truth is beyond words. So you can be content with the colours, you can be content with the pretty pictures, and Buddhism presents plenty of this. But the Buddha is saying this is actually a transgression of the teaching, because the teaching is beyond all this. The teaching is what directs us to this collectedness, to this self-remembering. It gives us control once again of the attention, or at least lets the attention rest once again in its primordial condition. And this point is reinforced in the next few verses, which I'll leave until the next video.